in the history in the history of the world, especially today. Our military has frowned upon homosexual conduct since 1775. George Washington kicked the first guy out that was convicted of sodomy. We have had a tradition of not allowing open homosexuality in the military because we knew it would affect unit cohesion, morale, and discipline. Then in 1993, when President Clinton got into office, he wanted to do a favor for the homosexual groups, and he said, well, let's do away with this tradition of not allowing homosexuals in the military. And Congress said, well, we're going to study it. They studied it for months. They held hearings, they talked to the military, and what they did, they came back and they passed a law that made homosexuals ineligible to serve in the military. Now, people talk about the policy. It is not a policy. It is a congressionally enacted law that says homosexuals are ineligible to serve in the military. And that law was tested by the Supreme Court and the various federal courts for the last 10 years, more than 10 years. And every court that reviewed it said it is constitutional because the Constitution says it's up to Congress to develop the rules and regulations that guide our armed forces. That's what they have done. Then this year, in 2010, President Obama says, well, we're going to repeal the Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And immediately the Democratic forces got into line and they tried to pass it. It failed. It failed because Senator John McCain threatened to filibuster if it got out of the Senate floor. Let me tell you what they're going to do. They're planning to try it again in the lame duck session right after November, when there are a lot of people who have lost their position, don't care what they vote. But they didn't have to wait for that because there was this Judge Virginia Phillips, sitting in the district court in San Francisco area, decided a case brought by the log cabin Republicans. And these two soldiers who said that they were homosexual, one was never identified, he was a John Doe, said that they were being discriminated against and violated the Constitution. And this judge, who had never served in the military, on her own said the statute that makes homosexuals ineligible to serve is unconstitutional. She ordered all of the armed forces to start accepting homosexuals into the military. Not just in her area, but worldwide. That case is going on. Let me tell you this. If you listen to what our generals say, not what Chief of Staff, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Evan Mullen, he's a Obama appointee, but our combat officers, our combat generals, listen to what they say. Recently, the Marine Service Chief said 95% of the Marines don't want homosexuals serving with them. A survey did show that 10% of the enlisted people would leave the military as soon as their enlistments were up if homosexuals were allowed. Another 14% of the military said they would seriously consider leaving if open homosexuality was allowed. So we're going to lose almost a quarter of our military because of a political agenda that Barack Obama wanted to impose to help his base. Another part. As a father and mother, would you allow your sons or daughters to join up if you knew that there was open homosexuality in the military with all of the intimate contact that you are forced to have? You're on duty centers for the far-left ideology. And if you can get your child out of a public school system, you are doing a great service for his future. Is all amount tantamount to child abuse. It's very easy. An ethical fiber of your children. Brad Johnson, story about Brad Johnson. He's a high school teacher. He's been a math teacher for 43 years in a school, the Howard School System in California. That school system had a policy that allowed teachers to put up displays that showed their own personal interest. Now, Brad Johnson was a Christian, is a Christian, and a patriot. So for the last 20 years, hanging in his classroom were two banners. One banner had these phrases: "In God we trust, one nation under God, God bless America." The second banner he had, that was over 20 years hanging, contained an excerpt from the Declaration of Independence. All men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator. Now, over these 20-some years, thousands of students walked and studied in his class, never to complain. Thousands of parents that sat in his class for the teacher conferences, saw the banners hanging up, never to complain. That all changed in 2007 when a new principal saw the banners and ordered Brad Johnson to take them down. She was supported by the school superintendent and the school board. And when he questioned them about this order, they said, "Your banners, by referring to God and Creator, impermissibly promoted Judeo-Christian viewpoint and might offend a Muslim student." That's the reason. Did you ever imagine a time when a school district would tell the teacher to take down a banner that has our national motto on it, or words from our Declaration of Independence? They did it. To show how discriminatory this whole idea was, that they left untouched a banner in another school teacher's classroom, which was 40 feet long, that had Tibetan prayer flags and with images of Buddha. They left alone a poster in another classroom that had the lyrics of John Lennon's, anti-religious song, "Imagine," which begins, "Imagine there's no heaven." They left a poster up with the Hindu leader Muhammad Gandhi, 7 social sins, like he goes through all the posters that they let up, which were anti-religion or anti-Christian. They didn't have a problem with that. But we filed a lawsuit against Howard School District in the federal district court, and a district judge ruled in our favor and said that the school district had violated Brad Johnson's free speech rights. A part of his decision, Judge Benitez said, the school district officials apparently fear their students are incapable of dealing with a viewpoint that includes God's place in the American history and culture. That's not the end of the story. You know what the school district did? They appealed it to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. So now we're there fighting that case in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Maureen, the chairman of the board, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, in 2005, was Marine General Peter Hicks. He gave a speech to the National Defense University, referring to Islamic terrorists. He said, "Understand the the nature of the enemy. Again, the whole idea, you can't be free and ignorant. So you have to understand the nature of the enemy. General Pace reiterated a common observation that had Americans and the rest of the Western world taken more seriously what Adolf Hitler said in his Mein Kampf, or said in his speeches, that we would have avoided World War II. Well, the Muslim leaders are doing the same thing now, and we're not taking them seriously. We have an enemy right in our gates, and we're not taking them seriously. In 1998, Omar Ahmad, a co-founder of CARE, do you know what CARE stands for? The Council of American Islamic Relations. This is what he said in 1998 to a group of Muslims in California. Islam isn't in America to be equal to any other faith, but to become dominant. The Quran should be the highest authority in America, and Islam the only accepted religion on earth. End quote. In 2008, federal prosecutors convicted the Holy Land Foundation, which was a supposed charity for funneling money through their charity to terrorist organizations. CARE happened to be an unindicted co-conspirator. One of the documents that they entered into evidence was a memorandum from a group that was connected to the Muslim Brotherhood. And this is what they planned for America. The Muslim Brotherhood must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad, eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within, and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of believers, so that it is eliminated and Allah's religion is made victorious over all religions. That's what they're saying about America. We have a political correctness that is blowing through our country that prevents people from speaking out these truths. Look what happened to one Williams just recently. With a mild statement he made, they kicked him right off of NPR. The horrific massacres of the American soldiers at Fort Hood was by an American-born Muslim major, Nadal Hassan, who yelling Allah Akbar went into this room and gunned down over 40 American soldiers, killing 13 and wounding the others. Listen to what the chairman of the chairman of the Army, the U.S. Army Chief of Staff said, George Casey, in remarks to NBC's Meet the Press. Quote, our diversity, not only in our Army, but in our country, is a strength. And as horrific as this tragedy was, if our diversity becomes a casualty, I think that's worse. His men were killed at Fort Hood, and he's talking about diversity. Ladies and gentlemen, our diversity is not our strength. Our unity is our strength. It's time to do away with the hypocrisy